Hello, my name is Hein Bjerck, and I'm a professor at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology in Trondheim, Norway. I will label this talk Marine Ventures and draw your attention to some basic issues of living by and near the sea. Marine Ventures. The label denotes the many-sided relations between humans and the marine, the sea. Venture. The word means gaining something that also includes a certain amount of risks, as most enterprises at sea. And also ventures in the plural form to acknowledge that there are many and varied marine lifestyles around the world. What floats and what sinks are probably embedded in the very depths of human knowledge, as is the border between land and sea that actually are the main features in our globus. Still, as formulated by Tim Ingold, quote, human beings did not arise from the sea. There can be little doubt that humans developed on land, probably far from any ocean, with bodies well adapted to the conditions of life in relatively open terrestrial environments. Unquote. This very basic statement holds fundamental premises for human engagement with a watery world, as it is as simple as it is important. There is a timeless polarity in all human enterprises at sea. The marine realm stands for an affluence humans strive to take part in. The extensive marine resources at beaches and offshore, in turbulent channels and shallows, in the blue deep and the very bottom of the subsea. Marine resources are abundant, varied, and stable. They encompass wide-ranging nutritional values, and most of them are beyond depletion by pre-industrial means of harvesting. And there is also the capacity of water to lift everything that floats. By a variety of vessels, it is possible to increase mobility range, both small-scale transportation and major sea crossings. In addition to reach and speed, there is also the capacity to carry many individuals and also considerable amounts of cargo, equipment, products, and even war parties far and wide. However, if the marine realm was a dream of plenty to past hunter fisher gatherers, it could certainly also be their nightmare. Living in seascapes are always a carefully cost-benefit balance, as human action at sea include a number of hazards. Immersed in water, humans will drown in minutes. Besides, water conducts heat far better than air, and even temperate water will cool and paralyze human bodies in hours and leave them sinking to the deadly depths. This basic polarity at sea, affluence and risk, affects all humans, from Stone Age hunters to prospectors of offshore fossil fuel reserves today. Hardly any human action at sea evades the crucial confluence of maximizing gains and minimizing risks. This eternal dualism have instigated a nearly limitless array of strategies, vessels, equipment, instruments, and tools to exploit the marine affordances in parallel with counteracting risks. Thus, as formulated by James Acheson, Quote, "The sea is a dangerous and alien environment, and one in which man is poorly equipped to survive. It is a realm that man enters only with the support of artificial devices, and then only when weather and sea conditions allow." Nevertheless, Acheson's truthful warning imply benefits for archaeological research. There is a deep dependency of material remedies in almost all human actions at sea, and many times more than what is needed on firm ground. People need things to keep afloat, garments to keep dry and warm, paddles, sails, and propellers to induce motion, and they need material helpers to acquire all that is sought down below, the things that motivated for their ventures to the waves. They need lines and hooks, harpoons, nets, weirs. This vast repertoire of tangible objects is also what constitutes the archaeological record. Admittedly, direct and touchable remains from ancient seafaring are rare, but archaeologists are all too familiar with loss of evidence and handling unseen realities, and apply elaborate methods to let proxy data speak. This is the vast body of circumstantial proof from marine engagements, like the abundant Stone Age settlements on islands, the affinity of settlement location to natural harbors that in turn imply the use of boats, artifact distributions that infer crossing of stretches of open sea, or the composition of marine food remains, aquatic signatures in human bone, collagen, and so on. In parallel with most of the marine subsistence and transport are all risk-minimizing strategies that carry similar material memories. For instance, the constant improvement of boats and garments, and choice of resources that are within acceptable risk. This profound dependency of things implies that archaeology and its perpetual focus on material culture offers strategies to acquire knowledge about deep time marine lifestyles. Additionally, all marine enterprises depend on places ashore, to land, to rest, maintain and supply equipment, procure resources, or prepare for the next journey at sea. These vital places contain and concentrate things from marine activities. Furthermore, land bases are not randomly placed, but are related to resource locations, or perhaps safe and frequently trafficked seafaring routes, or in seascapes with sheltered waters that reduce hazards. Thus, throughout time, considerable amount of sea-related things have found their way into the archaeological record and are possible to analyze with the discipline's scientific methods. Past actions at sea were combinations of bodies and things. Humans at sea are always cyborgs. Nonetheless, it is imperative to acknowledge that sea is more than a uniform body of water, and that marine variability strongly influences the nature of marine lifestyles. There is water temperature, increasingly colder towards the polar regions, and thus increasingly more dangerous to venture, and amplified needs of devices to manage. However, It also seems like biodiversity and abundance of attractive marine resources are superior in the colder northern waters, thus enhancing the human motivation to exploit in spite of the risks. Other parameters are relative salinity, ocean and tidal currents, tidal ranges, if shores are fierce or sheltered, air pressure system, prevailing winds and seasonal variation, sea ice and wave shapes. All these parameters are all vary and amplifies the environmental complexity as well as the variability of marine lifestyles in European prehistory.